Okay, so still on solving systems of linear equations, but this time by substitution. When you're doing substitution, it is important that one of your two equations must be isolated, meaning to say it should be in the form of y equals something or x equals something. So let's look at this first example. I'm looking at this and I think this is more complicated to isolate. But I'm looking at this and I can easily isolate either the x or the y. In this case, I would want to isolate the x. So when you do that, when you choose what you're going to isolate, let us code it with a box. Okay? So this is what you wanted to isolate. So let's do that. So x will now be equal to 13 plus y. And that is it. Now, you see how this is what you have isolated. You're going to plug this in place of the x there. And let's code this as our circle. So let us circle that. This is where we're going to substitute. Okay. So again, isolating, box, substitution, circle. You're going to use this to go in place of the x. So how is that done is you're going to write 4 and then parentheses as I always taught you, and then we will plug later. But copy down everything. And now this is going to go inside and you're going to distribute. 4 times 13 is 52 plus 4y plus 2y equals 10. Combine like terms. 52 plus 6y equals 10. 6y is 10 minus 52. 6y is equal to negative 42, which is divided by 6. Your y is going to be negative 7. You now have one of the coordinates of your intersection point. And again, they're intersecting and you're getting the intersection point. This is now your first coordinate. What you wanted to do is to get either of the two. So you can replace their y with the negative 7. I am going to use, well, you can use both. I want to use this. So I'm going to go for x minus, and then again, parentheses equals 13. I am plugging in my negative 7 in place of y because that's y equals negative 7 and that's y. So double negative means plus and equals 13. So x is equal to 13 minus 7. X is equal to 6. What you can do later is you can go ahead and plug in negative 7 again on this one and see, because you are going to get the same thing. You're going to get the 6. Okay, so for our next example, we are going to use 8x minus 4y equals negative 16 and 4x minus y equals negative 8. And again, important is to isolate either of the two. You must isolate a variable. I'm looking at this, and this is the best one for me to isolate. So again, isolate this box. Where you substitute is circle. Okay, so remember that. This is where you isolate. This is where you substitute. Okay. This now, if I write the equal sign, I can easily put my y here to make it positive. Let the 4x stay there, and this go to the other side, which becomes a positive 8. Now, I have my y. I'm going to use this, change this y to a parentheses, and then plug this in, because it says this is y. So, 8x minus 4 parentheses equals negative 16. This now becomes 4x plus 8. I now copy this down. Distribute. Negative 16x minus 32 equals negative 16. Combine like terms. This is going to be negative 8x minus 32 equals negative 16. I can now put this on the other side. So equal sign negative 16 plus 32. Leave this here, negative 8x. Okay, that is 16. Sorry about that. This is now going to be negative 8x equals positive 16. All over negative 8, all over negative 8. My x is a negative 2. I have one of the coordinates. What you're going to do after that is you can choose either of the two where you can substitute the x for and then solve for the y. So now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that this is the more simpler equation for me to substitute my x. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to use 4x minus y equals negative 8. And since that's x, this is what we're substituting. It turns to a parenthesis minus y equals negative 8. And this now turns to negative 2. This becomes negative 8 minus y equals negative 8. Now let's look at this. I wanted my y to go to the other side, so that becomes a y. This now becomes negative 8 plus 8. So now your y is a 0. Your solution or your intersection point for the two lines is negative 2, 0. You can plug this in on the calculator and check it.